This is a Fox News alert. It is the strongest evidence of pay to play yet. Brand new email showing Clinton Foundation allies got special treatment at the State Department. We are live in Washington.
Plus, Donald Trump under fire for bringing up the death of an NBA star's cousin on the campaign trail.
She was the mother of 4 and was killed while pushing her infant child in a stroller just walking down the street. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Some may not like his approach, but no one's challenging him on the facts. Dr. Ben Carson here to react in moments.
And star-spangled backlash. 49ers quarterback Colin Kaepernick refusing to rise for the national anthem because he says our country is racist. So how are his fans reacting this morning?
I don't think you can.
Melted. Fox and Friends Hour 4 starts right now.
All right, good morning, and thanks for having us back on the couch.
Yes. I welcome you guys anytime. Sandra, nice to see you.
No better way to start a Sunday off.
Anna and Tucker off this morning at the end. Back to school time, football starting. But we've got a Fox News alert to get to this morning.
All right, good Sunday morning, everybody. We do have this Fox News alert for you. The romance between Hillary Clinton's State Department and her family's foundation exposed again.
Yeah, this time brand new email showing inside favors from both sides.
Our own Garrett Tenney, live from Washington, D.C., has the details. Good morning, Garrett.
Hey, Garrett.
Hey, good morning, Pete, Clayton, and Sandra. You know, it almost seems like this is becoming a weekly ritual nowadays. The State Department releases more emails, which then lead to a whole new round of questions about the relationship between Hillary Clinton's State Department and the Clinton Foundation. This latest release includes 8 emails, which are again the result of a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the State Department by a conservative watchdog group. The group Citizens United claims these emails show new evidence that top donors to the Clinton Foundation received special treatment and privileges from Clinton's State Department. In one email from December 2010, Doug Band, who was a top official at the foundation, sent Hillary Clinton's top aide, Huma Abedin, a list of 3 individuals to be invited to an official State Department lunch with the Chinese president. Those 3 individuals also happen to be major donors to the Clinton Foundation, with Rockefeller Foundation President Judith Rodin donating between $10 and $25 million, according to the foundation. And apparently, Rodin didn't simply want to attend the lunch. She wanted to be at Vice President Joe Biden's table. So a couple of weeks later, Doug Band with the Clinton Foundation followed up with Abedin to make that request, to which Abedin responded, quote, "I'll ask." In a statement to ABC News, which first reported the new email, Citizens United President David Bossie writes, "After more than 2 years of Freedom of Information Act requests and lengthy litigation, the truth is finally coming out. Hillary Clinton's senior staff at the State Department routinely worked with the Clinton Foundation to reward big donors with special access and favors for 4 years. Even now, though, both the State Department and the Clinton campaign maintained that donors to the Clinton Foundation did not receive any favors or hold any special influence. We'll leave that up to the viewers to decide as we continue to get more of these emails.
Wow, what a story.
All right, thanks, Garrett. Appreciate it. We want to bring in Dr. Ben Carson now, former presidential candidate, to take on this topic this morning. Doctor, good to see you back here on Fox and Friends this morning.
Yeah, good morning. First, let's get you to react just to that right there, the new evidence of more pay to play. I mean, is this the kind of ironclad evidence folks have insisting would be out there, that you pay, you get access?
Well, it's pretty obvious what's going on. The only people who don't understand it are people who don't want to understand it and who are sticking their heads in the sand and trying to deny. You know, that's the way the criminal element does things. Never admit guilt and just keep denying it. But, you know, here's what's interesting. They say if Hillary becomes president, you know, this will stop. They will stop accepting donations from foreigners and from corporations. Well, why would they do that if it's perfectly fine? And if it's not fine, why would they wait until then to do it?
As we wake up this morning, one of the hottest topics and most talked about topics on the campaign trail is race. It was a big week for it last week, and now we have this. The media is blasting Donald Trump for citing the death of Dwayne Wade's cousin while she was pushing a baby stroller outside of an elementary school in Chicago. But people are saying Donald Trump is using this horrible, tragic incident to win over black voters. But no one is choosing to challenge him on the actual facts here of what is happening in that city. What do you make of the media coverage of that tweet by Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, I can't even imagine what's going through the minds of the family of Nakia Aldrich. Just taking her baby on the stroll down the street and ending up dead. But unfortunately, that's a story that can be repeated by multiple stories all the time. In Chicago and in some of our other inner cities. And Donald Trump has correctly pointed out that this is a major problem. And I'm not exactly sure why it is that the Democrats are wanting to complain, other than the fact that they complain about everything that he says, no matter how he says it and when he says it. The fact of the matter is, if we're going to make America great, we cannot have large pockets of dysfunction. We can't have areas where people are not being appropriately educated. And he's not saying that that's the case for everybody. You know, I came out of an inner city. I got appropriately educated. But, you know, my story is different from a lot of people. I had a mother who was absolutely determined that I was going to be successful. And we have to, as a society, recognize that if we have pockets of weakness, it weakens our entire society.
I think the response was not necessarily in the words that he then later said at that rally, but it was in the initial tweet, which he later pulled down and sent out another tweet. And there were people who pounced on it as insensitive, that they thought he was, and his original tweet said, just what I've been saying, African Americans will vote for Trump. He tied that will vote for Trump in this condolences about Dwayne Wade's cousin being shot. What is your thought on that?
Right. Well, there's nobody who's going to always say everything exactly the way that everybody's going to be satisfied. Somebody's going to say, you should have said it this way, or you should have said it at this time. You know, this is ridiculous what we're going through as a nation right now, picking on these little things when we have these gigantic issues staring us in the face. It's like, you know, when Jesus said, why are you going to complain about a splinter in your brother's eye when you got a beam in your own? We don't look at the obvious. We take the other little things and all this subterfuge and try to divert attention.
Well, is this a big deal this morning? It's the #1 trending topic on Facebook this morning, and it's almost football season. And people are talking about Colin Kaepernick. Of course, you saw what he did on Friday night at the game against the Green Bay Packers during the national anthem. He decided to sit it out. Here's a photo of him sitting on the bench, on the sidelines, not standing for the national anthem. He said because of oppression of racial minorities in this country, he wouldn't stand for the national anthem. What do you make of that? People are burning his jerseys now.
Yeah, well, obviously, I strongly disagree with that. You know, does our country have problems? Of course it does. Every country has problems if they're populated by human beings, because human beings have problems. But, you know, to disrespect our national anthem and our flag after so many people have sacrificed so that he could have the freedoms that he has today, so that he could make, you know, a very, very good living in this, quote, racist, unquote, land. I mean, I think people really need to stop here for a moment and recognize that, yes, we can cast aspersions and say bad things about anything if we want to. Why don't we look at it the other way? Why don't we look at the things that have made us great and try to enhance those? That's the problem that I have with this.
One of those things that enhanced it was a speech given 53 years ago by Dr. Martin Luther King, his I Have a Dream speech. We had his niece on, Alvida, today. She took less issue with it. She said, hey, this is a peaceful protest raising. How do you think most fans, most Americans, though, are going to react to an NFL star saying, I just won't stand for your anthem?
Well, there's no question that he has the right to do it. No question about that. I don't argue with that. That's what people fought and died for. But, you know, when you're a public figure and an example to others, and you do things like this, I think you should not complain about the consequences. When people are outraged about it, when maybe you don't get a contract renewed, maybe you don't get sponsorships, don't complain.
All right. Well, Dr. Carson, we know that you're going to be packing your bags. You've got a planned trip back to Michigan with Donald Trump, and that's said to be part of his effort to court more black voters. You're going to be on your way soon.
To Detroit, right?
Yes, absolutely. My hometown, which, as you know, was once the most prosperous city in America and became the largest bankruptcy because of policies that were not beneficial to the people, that did not uplift people, that made people dependent. Those are the things that we have to change, because the more people that we have to pull along as a society, the slower we go. We need to empower all of our people. That's what America is about, liberty and justice for all.
Homes in Detroit, in certain pockets, $500 you could buy a home for. Terrible, terrible situation there. Dr. Ben Carson, great to see you.
Thank you very much.
Turning now to headlines this morning, brand new details surrounding the savage stabbing of 2 Catholic nuns in rural Mississippi. The suspect, Rodney Sanders, confessing to police but gave no reason for committing the crime. And that's not all. We are also learning he has a long criminal history. The 46-year-old's record spans 3 decades, covers everything from a robbery to DUIs. He's charged with 2 counts of capital murder. A wake for the sisters will be held today. And horror at 30,000 feet, a Southwest jet forced to land mid-flight after part of its main engine rips off on the way to Orlando from New Orleans. Flying metal gashing the plane and causing a loud bang. 99 passengers and 5 crew members were on board. They were all forced to put on oxygen masks as the pilot told air traffic control, quote, "We're down to the line." No one was hurt. The NTSB is investigating, as one viewer tweeted me, and they had time to take a selfie. Hopefully that was after everything happened.
Not as dangerous.
All right, part of a website DC Leaks shut down as the Twitter page has been suspended. This after the site recently reloaded information targeting billionaire George Soros. But suddenly you can't access those latest documents on the site. The documents in question reveal that Soros called Europe's refugee crisis the new normal, then referred to it as a chance for his organization to influence immigration policies on a global scale. If you are searching for information about Hillary Clinton's health, good luck Googling it. A new report says the search engine has been censoring the results. Take a look. If you begin typing in Hillary Clinton's health on Google, you get all types of suggestions that have absolutely nothing to do with her health. However, they do come up if you try the search engine Bing, Clayton, which is owned by Microsoft. All right. And the same happens, by the way, with Yahoo. All right, well, those are your headlines this morning. You know all things search engines. And
I wonder what happens on DuckDuckGo.
Like a human search engine.
That's right.
It's like a hermit.
I ask Clayton things, he gives me answers.
Encyclopedic knowledge of really dumb stuff.
Rick Reichmuth, you were looking good out there playing tennis. How's the weather?
Can you believe I got to hit the tennis ball with Chris Evert? That was
pretty cool.
Incredible, but also incredibly nerve-wracking to do that, I got to be honest. All right, let's talk a little weather. Take a look at the map, show you what's going on. We have this system that's just to the north of Cuba. It's an area of low pressure. We've been watching it for the better part of about a week and a half now, saying that it might develop, and it has not happened. But we are still saying it might develop. So get ready over the next few days. We got the water temperatures that are certainly warm, not incredibly baking or anything, but certainly warm across the eastern part of the Gulf. And the computer weather models, take a look at what goes on. Still kind of a mess. But we think maybe we have some sort of a landfall of a system between Pensacola and Tampa, maybe Wednesday to Friday. How's that? Lots of uncertainty still. We'll keep talking about it.
A lot going on.
Got me worried about that 99L.
Rick, thank you.
Well, Hillary Clinton's new pay-to-play scandal bringing an old friend back in the spotlight. Up next, what was Cindy Blumenthal's role in all of this?
Even something as seemingly innocuous as us referring to Sidney Blumenthal as her advisor. Remember, she got really upset when we used that term. You'll never guess which term the FBI used when they described Sidney Blumenthal and his relationship to her.
Sidney Blumenthal, a longtime friend and so-called advisor to the Clintons, is back in the spotlight as questions arise over a possible pay-to-play scandal at the Clinton Foundation.
So just what was Blumenthal's role in all of this? Let's ask National Review columnist Jonah Goldberg. He joins us now. Hey, Jonah. So Sidney Blumenthal, what was he doing at the foundation? What was his role?
Well, I mean, this is a fascinating thing, right? Because we keep hearing that the Clinton Foundation, you know, James Carville the other day said, you will go to hell for criticizing the Clinton Foundation, that it was this glorious thing that only helped dying people and poor people all around the world, and yet they had Sid Blumenthal on the payroll for $10,000 a month from the moment Hillary Clinton became Secretary of State. And the reason that he had that job at the Clinton Foundation was that not even the Obama administration wanted him around.
But that's a key point, Jonah. She wanted him working with her while Secretary of State after working with the Clintons for decades, and the Obama administration warned against it. They didn't want him there.
Right. Well, they didn't want him there for a bunch of reasons, in part because one of Sidney Blumenthal's true gifts, what he's a prodigy at, is peddling nasty rumors in the press. And during the primaries, he had done that against Obama, and too many people on the Obama team hated Blumenthal. Other people just hated Blumenthal because he's such a hateable guy. But regardless, the thing is, he then goes to the Clinton Foundation, and they're taking this money that's supposed to go to poor kids, and instead they're paying him to essentially be, his official job description was to be a highlight the legacy of President Clinton. Again,
so that is my favorite job description ever. And I want you, when I set up my foundation, Jonah, I want you, that's going to be your job. For $10,000 a month, you're going to highlight the legacy of Clayton. That's ridiculous.
I'll have this great yellow highlighter, and I'll just highlight it all day long. But the problem is that but he didn't really do that. What he was doing was he was running this sort of off-book intelligence consulting business for Hillary Clinton. We know this from the emails. He sent dozens of emails about Libya, using contacts off-book, all while having his overhead covered by the Clinton Foundation, which just highlights, and this is one small aspect of it, that the Clinton Foundation, yeah, it does good things, charitable, nice things, but that's a business expense for the foundation. Its purpose was to keep the Clinton payroll up and running for another campaign.
And you say, you say in your piece, you don't need to look for the quid pro quo here. Why not?
Well, look, I mean, yeah, so everyone's looking in these emails for some proof that the Clintons took a donation like it was a bribe and then granted some favor, initiated some policy or something like that. The meetings themselves are the quo, right?
Right.
If people go to political fundraisers every week to have just their picture taken with a candidate, that is what they get out of the money. Is they get this ability to say, oh yeah, when I was having coffee with Hillary Clinton the other week. That is of value. These meetings with the Secretary of State are of enormous value, particularly in overseas.
And I'm going to send you the contract for your new job.
Yeah, exactly.
Jonah,
start writing that now. Jonah Goldberg, National Review. Thank you.
Great piece.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Of your wife and your beautiful daughters. I have 3 young boys myself. So many Americans look at these photos, and they are memories that we take a photo in our mind. As I often say to myself, I want to have this picture in my mind so that I never forget them while they're young. And what you're saying is, hey, those memories may slip away. And so I want my kids to know how much I cherish them in this book.
Absolutely. That was the foundation of writing the book, was to really give a legacy story to my family with the realities that many former NFL players face due to the consequences of concussion. And when I left the game at 30 years old, already having some long-term memory problems, it really made me think long and hard about that question: is what does my future hold? Does it look like a Mike Webster's or like a Frank Gifford? I mean, these questions are realities for me, and so the book really came out of a heart that was designed to just get to people to care emotionally about the importance of their brains.
Ben, kids say the darndest things. What have your daughters said through this as you've written this book? Have they any sort of reassurance or special messages back to Dad?
Well, we have a 7-year-old, identical twins are 5, and a 1-year-old. So, they're not really at an age yet where they quite understand, but when they watch that music video, what they see is, their daddy lying in a hospital bed with his head wrapped, and it gives us a chance to talk about, Daddy's playing days in the NFL and how it unfortunately ended due to Daddy hurting his head, and it gives us a chance to start to have that conversation with them because not only myself, but my wife was captain of the women's golf team at University of Minnesota, so we have an athletic family. I don't doubt my girls are going to want to take part in sports, and it will be a topic of conversation that we have with them as they continue to get older.
Ben, most Americans haven't played NFL football, haven't had the concussions like you have, but what is the message you have for parents who are taking these things for granted? What does this book tell them?
Sure. Well, it's been a blessing to work with the American Brain Foundation this last year and the American Academy of Neurology and the neurologists of America to really answer that question. And I think most importantly, parents have to be educated. Make sure you know exactly what a concussion is and what to do if, in fact, you face a concussion. And then we need to start, I think, having conversations, healthy conversations as parents around what is the right entrance age for a child. You know, for me it was 4th grade, and now kids are entering contact sports in 1st and 2nd grade. And so we want to make sure that we protect our children during the most important developmental brain stages that they go through, which is ages 2 to 12. So I think having those conversations and doing your best as a parent to get connected to a neurologist, a brain expert, in case your child ever faces a concussion is really important.
Ben Utecht, former NFL star, but the title I know you wear most proudly is father and dad. So thanks very much for joining us this morning, for writing the book. It's called Counting the Days While My Mind Slips Away. Ben Utecht. We're going to...
And welcome back to Fox and Friends on this Sunday morning. Hey, we got some new polls out we want to show you. Obviously, the discussion lately on the campaign trail has been around race. And can Donald Trump court minorities across this country? He was down around like 2%. And now look at this. Donald Trump, 8% to Hillary Clinton's massive 87% lead right now, if the election were held today.
Also shed some light on how he's performing with Hispanics, 73% for Clinton, 22% for Trump. But certainly we are hearing that behind the scenes, they are constructing a plan and a strategy to deploy employees and staff and family members to reach out to those minority communities.
That's exactly right. I mean, they're working really hard, you know, in front of the camera the last couple of weeks, talking to these constituencies. But they're also working behind the scenes. And our own Ainsley Earhart, as she often does, landed a couple of fantastic interviews with Laura Trump, the wife of Eric Trump, as well as Lynn Patton, an employee with the Trump organizations, talking about their attempts to work behind the scenes to reach out to minority voters.
She sits down with them.
Yep.
So, Laura, being the daughter-in-law of Donald Trump, Lynn, you've been working for the Trump family for how many years?
7 years, actually.
Okay, so the two of you and additional individuals are going to go out into the community and do what?
Well, we have a great team of women that we're actually working with. It's myself, Lynn, Omarosa, who a lot of people know from The Apprentice, Katrina Pearson. We really are just going out and speaking with women, speaking with minorities, and talking about the man that we know and why we really think that Donald Trump is the best man for the job.
And what's the goal?
The goal is to share his message and get the talking points out to women and minorities so that they understand what he's doing for us, so that they can, you know, share that message with people that maybe don't understand that.
I think it's really hard today to get a true sense of who Donald Trump is because the media is very skewed, and we really took it upon ourselves to put together a group of women who know him very personally to go out and say, this is who we know, this is why he's a great man and the best leader of our country.
So, Lynn, how'd the meeting go? Was it more of the African-American community and leaders telling him exactly what they thought he should be doing?
It was a little bit of both. He was listening to a lot of our African-American leadership, and then he was also taking the opportunity to roll out some of the plans that he has already lined up to benefit this community, make us less dependent on the government, and make us self-serving.
What do your friends in the African-American community say about you supporting Donald Trump?
You know, I have a really great group of friends around me. They know my character, they know my work ethic, they know how he treats me, and they know how he treats my family, and they couldn't be more supportive.
And you know, you're saying he's not racist, right?
100%. It's actually the most ludicrous thing I've ever heard.
Very interesting. Does sound like they have a plan and a strategy going on there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it works. They can get up a little bit in the poll numbers.
All right. Well, now to some headlines this morning. Let's get to Debbie Wasserman Schultz dodging questions about the DNC email controversy just days before her primary. Instead, she's focusing on Hillary Clinton's emails. The former DNC chairwoman insisting voters just aren't concerned about them, saying no one on the campaign trail has even asked her about them. Meanwhile, a new report shows Clinton staffers were urged to hide all communications with the DNC using an encryption app. That was just weeks before WikiLeaks published 20,000 hacked emails exposing a plot against Bernie Sanders, leading to Wasserman Schultz's resignation. The Wisconsin man whose murder trial captivated America still claiming his innocence in 2005. Tomorrow, the U.S. will reach its target of 10,000 Syrian refugees. It's part of a year-long resettlement program, one that has been at the center of attacks, being called a potential security threat. Some lawmakers, however, say refugees are thoroughly screened. Close to 5 million Syrians have fled civil war since 2011. If Hillary Clinton wins the White House, she has vowed to bring even more refugees here in the country.
All right, Rick Reichmuth is standing by. We'll look at the forecast. Hey, Rick.
Guys, it's still solidly summer. No real signs of fall. A lot of people start to think fall coming. I know, Clayton, you like your pumpkin spice latte with your
pumpkin
football.
spice latte. It's too hot right now.
Not yet. It is still really hot out there. It's also tropical season. September 10th is a peak, so we're about 2 weeks away from the peak of hurricane season. We have this right here. It's Gaston. We have this, which was Fiona. It maybe will bring a little bit of rain showers across parts of the Carolinas, but the biggest one we're worried about is the thing we've been talking about for about 12 days now, and it's a disturbance here just to the north of Cuba, right here in the Florida Straits. And we think a lot of the models are still indicating that we will see some development of this, or might at least see some development this week. So watch what happens here. This is one of the models that we like, that we trust quite a bit, and it brings a Friday morning storm somewhere there in the Big Bend of Florida. So get ready. We'll continue to watch it. Plenty of time to take a look at this, but we do want to talk about that. One other thing, we had all the flooding across Louisiana. More rain, unfortunately, guys, still across that area. Not getting much of a break.
Pumpkin spice latte. Who drinks those?
Clayton does.
Oh, Clayton's a big fan. Okay.
I'll have one once a season.
Okay.
Because I'm still working off this holiday weight. It's coming back around again.
I know.
It's that whipped cream.
Yes.
Just admit it. You love them.
Delightful.
All right, well, the EpiPen, thank you, Rick. The EpiPen price hike has people around the country furious. There has been outrage this week, but critics say don't blame the company. It's big government's fault. Maria Bartiromo is here to break it down for us this morning.
Come on.
Well, the price of the life-saving drug EpiPen skyrocketing 400%. And this morning, critics are saying don't blame the company. It's actually big government's fault.
Here to weigh in is the host of Sunday Morning Futures, Maria Bartiromo. That show starts in 15 minutes, right here on the Fox News
Maria.
channel.
Hey, guys, good to see everybody.
Nice to see you, Maria. Break this down for us.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, we all agree, and I know that everybody at home agrees as well, drug prices are way too high. I mean, that's for sure. But what the critics are saying about all of this attack on Mylan, the maker of the EpiPen, is that they're not understanding the transparency of who gets what. So they sent me a chart. I actually just spoke with the CEO of Mylan on the phone, and she sent me this chart that I want to show you, because basically she's saying that the company gets this is the price hikes that we're looking at right now. This is the cost back in 2011. It was $165. It's all the way up to $609 this year.
That's at the root of the problem, correct?
That's right. So $609 is what the person at home will pay for it. But out of that $609, she says that the company only pockets $274.
Okay.
Because pharmacy benefit managers have to get something, insurance companies have to get a piece of it, wholesalers have to get a piece of it, and pharmacy retailers have to get a piece of it. At the end of the day, it is the customer paying $609, but all of that money is being divvied up into all of these 5 players, the manufacturer and those 4
that I just... So the cost of production is going up, but the critics are saying there's a roadblock on generics and others that would create a real market, because right now there's effectively a monopoly on the EpiPen. Is that right?
Bingo. That's another major issue right now, because the way that the FDA works, it has to be exactly equal. Another product, a competing product, has to be exactly equal, like a syringe. This is auto-injecting, so it's not necessarily a typical syringe. It's certainly not a pill. It's not oral. So any drug, competing drug that comes on the market, if it's not the exact syringe, this auto-injector that the EpiPen is, then it's not comparable. So it's more delays, and it takes longer and longer to get approved.
Paperwork, bureaucracy.
Correct. And all of that paperwork and bureaucracy is keeping competitors off the market, allowing EpiPen to own this market, and allowing the price to
at the end of the day, the consumer.
And Maria, you have interviewed her, the CEO of Mylan, multiple times. You just got her on the phone, which is an amazing opportunity to ask her so many questions. There has been scrutiny over several things surrounding her. She is the daughter of a Democratic senator, a U.S. senator. She has also received significant pay increases over the past several years as the price of the EpiPen has gone up. Her most recent salary was upwards of $18 million.
Right.
People are sort of outraged looking at the price hike of the pen. At the same time, the company CEO continues to make a lot of money.
And that's why it's very hard for the average guy and gal out there and the person, the victim, the person paying all of this money for this, to understand. How is it possible that my cost went up 400% and she's getting her salary raised? And it's hard to, and that's, it's not
if
defendable.
you're John Stossel, you say that's capitalism, that's the way things go.
That's absolutely right. And that's capitalism. And the point is these drugs cost a lot of money to make. And if you don't have the appeal out there for an investor to say, look, I'm going to invest my money in R&D. I'm going to put my own money down there, and I'm going to make sure that they come up with a life-saving drug, then you have to have that person believe that they can actually make money on it.
This inspires more innovation.
But the system has no transparency. I mean, can you imagine any other industry where you have no idea what it's going to cost you for whatever it is?
You get more of this passion in 12 minutes on Sunday Morning
I love
Futures.
it.
You've got America's Mayor Rudy Giuliani on the show.
That's right. Mayor Giuliani is joining me this morning because we're going to talk about what's going on with the Trump campaign at this point. Look, last week they were at a 10-point differential. Now Trump seems to be narrowing that gap between he and Clinton. We're going to talk about how he's preparing for this upcoming debate in September. We'll also talk with Michael Mukasey about the Clinton Foundation. Lots going on there. We know that.
10 minutes. We'll see you Sunday Morning Futures. Maria Bartiromo, thank you.
Great guest, great host. All right.